Hello everyone, welcome back to another art time lapse. Today I am doing a piece inspired by Emerald City Comic Con's Monsters and Dames. Now this is a piece that I wasn't really intending on painting in the beginning, but it just kind of transpired that way. I've always really enjoyed going to Emerald City Comic Con. I know it's very competitive, very hard to get in, but they always have this charity where artists can donate artwork to an art book, and it's like for the children's hospital, and I always like to contribute if I can. So I thought that in case I ever get selected to go to the convention again, I would love to do a piece that is perfect for their theme that they have every year. So their theme usually is called Monsters and Dames. So here I am doing a idea of a girl who's kind of melting behind the scene of like a serpent or snake that will wrap around. So you'll see more of it coming up. I'm using a different color palette than I usually do. I love cooler color palettes with like magentas and cobalt blues. Today I am doing a totally, I don't know if that's the best way to say it, girly theme color with lots of pastel pinks and lilacs and like those kind of like pastel-y colors, apricots, and we'll see how it works out. I think that this piece for Monster and Dame ideally is like a darker theme artwork that I can, as I imagine. So I think like a darker tone would be nice, but I somehow just feel like doing like a baby pastel color theme this time just to see how things go. I wonder if it's the inner mommy in me now that I like to do this type of color scheme, but we'll see. It might be just a one-off thing. So here I'm starting to draw in the serpent that's gonna wrap around this girl. I think snakes are often seen as like something that is more of a scary, kind of seen as a antagonist in a lot of like social media or like in movies and such. But I wonder if snake is really like a good or a bad thing. I heard that if snakes appear in your dream, it can actually signify that you are moving forward, you're healing, and you're entering a new phase of personal transformation. And I really love the idea of it. So that's why I decided to integrate it into this piece of Monster and Dames. That sometimes these monsters are not here to like create ruckus and like stir up a storm, but it's actually here to kind of clear the clouds for us, if you know what I mean. So here you can see the girl slowly emerging, her face slowly emerging behind the serpent that's kind of wrapped all around her face. I'm trying to be really good when I'm painting with gouache to leave space. I find that sometimes I tend to overpaint and add in too many details, and sometimes having just the simplest piece with intentional strokes for each of those paint strokes will make the piece just that much better. So this is something that I'm working on. I must say by the end of this piece I did not get there. I think I actually did end up overpainting it, which is a little disappointing, but hopefully by kind of re-looking at this whole art time lapse, I'll have a better perspective of where I started kind of veering off that way. So now I'm using this kind of baby sky blue to highlight the shadows. Really liking the vibe I'm getting from this piece so far. Slowing down the art time lapse so you can see the process of how I paint to draw the serpent and also like the girl itself. Sometimes like I give the illusion, or I think I give the illusion that it's very easy or very fast, but like slowing it down, I think you can see the delicacy of the process, that it does take me quite a bit of time to get to the final piece that you see. And that's part of the reason why I do these art time lapses, so that you guys can see the process and enjoy it along with me. And it's also a great way for me to kind of document my portfolio. I find that sometimes having a stagnant image don't give the full story for the piece. And I feel like these YouTube videos really give a voice to the story, to why I draw what I draw. And I hope you are enjoying some of this narration so far. So here I'm using this baby blue to kind of highlight where all the shadows are, whereas like the neon pink and the lilac colors are more for highlights. I'm trying to limit my color palette just to see what kind of new breakthrough I could have from artwork than just like the full palette that I usually have access to. Did you know that like snakes have a meaning spiritually as well? Apparently it is symbolizes fertility and rebirth, which I guess I can see that because like the snake's skin kind of sloughs off and then a new layer grows, and then that's kind of like the rebirth process. And I hope that this like idea of kind of sloughing off old layers and then like regrowing this creative life force cycle is something that I will continue to do with my artwork. Not being stagnant in like always painting the same thing, the same style, but like reborn, or like having myself reborn in different styles of artwork and discovering new things and continue renewal of life or renewal of my artist process is something that I'm striving to work towards, but I think it's still a work in progress. Another reason I do these YouTube videos is like I know some people do find it therapeutic for watching someone paint, so I hope you enjoy that as well. And maybe someday my children will find these videos and find out what I do when they're napping. I get a lot of artwork done, but I heard that the days of napping for little toddlers will grow thin over time, so I'm thinking I won't have too many more days left of this, so I really need to treasure every bit of time that I have, both with my children and also like my alone time as a mommy to paint. So here, just for my monster, which is the serpent, just gonna draw some loose lines around. I think it's coming out quite nicely, but I do find the colors are a bit bland, nothing really bold or sticking out, so I'm thinking that I'll probably need to add a darker shade at some point to show where the shadows are and where the outlines will be. I think adding texture to the serpent itself will make the painting a little bit more interesting, because right now there's just a lot of loose lines, and it's actually very therapeutic as well, as I'm kind of adding in these loose scales that are all along the snake. Right now, I think this piece is still giving me a really girly vibe, which is okay. It's but still like very different. But different, but like the same in terms of like my style, if you know what I mean. Still using like very watered down gouache and layering it on, like still this kind of like iridescent dream-like feel, which is what I try to transpire to produce in a lot of my artwork, to have this dreamlike state, fantasy state for a lot of my artwork. At least that's what my husband tells me. I don't know how to describe it, or at least I didn't know the words to it until he kind of explained it to me, that a lot of my pieces give like a dreamlike state that's very dreamy, airy, and I love the idea of it, how he talks about it, because I wouldn't normally say it or describe it that way. So here you can see him speeding it up, adding like the loose hairs for the girl, also like intermingling with the serpent's tail and body that kind of wraps around her. She's not breathless, as in like it's not like the body of the serpent is wrapped around her mouth, she can't speak or like, but like it's actually just hanging loosely around her. She's like at peace. She doesn't feel like she's like screaming, anxious, or in danger. Or maybe she is on the inside but just not able to convey it on the outside. Here you can see him starting to add on more pigmented layers with adding textures to the snake. What do you think so far? Do you think I have overpainted too much, or maybe just right in terms of the amount of detail? It's always hard for me to kind of decipher a happy medium between like too much versus just right. And then here, I actually really like purple lately. Purple has been like the it color for me this summer, as I'm doing a lot of painting over the summer. And here's a closer look. Now, The light changed a little bit because I'm now painting on another day, another weekend. Usually for a gouache piece, it takes me several weekends to kind of get to the finished product, and like the lighting changes a little bit, but you can still see how I'm getting from point A to point B. Now I'm using like these blue colors, cobalt blue, to highlight the details, and I think it's coming through so nicely. I mixed a little bit of like violet purple along my blue, so it's not just like a pure blue color. And as I pull like my brush from one point to another, you can see the color actually changes from blue to purple in a single line, and I really appreciate details like that. And it really showcase the gouache medium itself that I think it will be harder to showcase if you were to use digital media. I'm not sure if that's the best way to say it. To be honest, I don't even know if that's true now that I think about it, because like you can probably do a gradient with painting on a tablet. I don't have much experience with it, but so far I'm really liking gouache and just painting by hand. I hope that this medium will still survive the digital age, despite everybody moving towards doing digital art and AI art, because like this is just so strangely therapeutic, getting your hands dirty and just like painting from scratch. So I hope you enjoy this piece, inspired by Emerald City Comic Con's charity work for serpents and dames, or monsters and dames. And I hopefully will see you next time in another art time lapse. Take care and stay creative, everyone. Bye for now.